Hey everybody, happy Friday, January 19th. Welcome to the TED Show, and I am with my friend, man, he is interesting if you read his bio, Rupert Meghnot. Thank you for coming, Rupert.
Pleasure to be here.
Let us know that you can hear us or see us. He has a lot to talk about today. Maybe that's because I am fascinated by what he's doing. I'm fascinated by his ventures, the startup information that he's got for everybody, the state of entrepreneurship in Orlando, which is the title of the show. So let us know that you can hear us and see us. That would be great. And welcome, my friend.
Thank you.
Look at his cool shirt. I don't know if you can see it on there, but he's got cool purple on, right? I know, that's paisley and all. Man, I'm glad you can't see my shirt that well.
Oh, you got purple too.
Cool. It's sort of a purple. I've got Merlot shoes on. That was my
purple's our color.
Purple's totally my color.
Yeah.
So welcome, buddy.
Thank
you so much for agreeing to be on the show. I'm fascinated by what you're going to talk about. Give them a little bit of background, and then let us know you can hear us and see us, guys.
Well, I was born. No.
Here we go. This is it. This is the conversation we were having earlier.
I came down here from Detroit in 1986 to get my M.B.A. at Rollins, and
where'd you come from?
From
Detroit.
Yeah,
Detroit.
Yeah, inner city. Lately, more recently, the suburbs, and got involved in tech almost right away. And
what made you go that direction? Did you have like a tech interest at the time?
Just opportunity. I started my first business when I was 20, and
I saw that.
So I've been, having multiple businesses. And when I came down here, I had already started a partnership with a publishing company. And so for the first year, I was at Rollins. At Crummer, we did the publishing company, and then after a year, we broke even, and we're like, So then I contacted a buddy of mine from Detroit who is now working at Martin Marietta Missiles and Electronics.
See, these are smart people I hang out with.
And I asked him if he knew if he had any jobs were available, and he says, "Sure. Do you know anything about project management?" And I said, "Well, I might know a little." And then I met with the VP there, and.
But is that what you knew you always wanted to do? Like, what were your interests as a kid? Were you into rockets? Were you? I mean, how did that all come about? Because you don't just jump from, even though I don't want the first grade story.
Yeah.
Bob Lee, we love you, but we were talking about you earlier. We want to know how you got there. Like, did you always have an interest? Build spaceships? Did you?
Well, when my mom passed about 5 years ago, my ex-wife and I were going through her effects, which included a lot of my historical items, and she's reading a letter from me to my mom when I was 6 years old of a party that I had organized for my older cousin at his house, and she goes, "Oh my gosh." And I'm like, "What?" She says, "You were a project manager at 6 years old." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So she gives me the letter, and I'm talking about, I researched, I found the clowns, I hired the clowns, I made
sure. So you were already that detailed.
Yeah.
Previously.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. But yes, to answer your question, I did build rockets and design rockets. I had rockets that were taller than me and all that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
See, there's always like this starting point. Somebody was talking about how they had done research, and it always seemed to be around the 4 to 7, 8 years where something sparks your interest. Even though some of your stuff was innate, I mean, you were born with it. Obviously, you're born with that organizational skill, I think.
But it was a coping skill.
It was a coping skill.
Yeah.
And how was that?
For ADHD, and I never knew I had it until like 10 years ago, and then everything makes sense. I became a planner because I needed to focus.
That's
Without planning, I couldn't focus on things. So that's how I got into project management, and I saw the wonder and the benefits of planning.
So was that a calming
successful.
effect for you then?
Yeah.
Okay, so as a person with ADHD, the planning then became calming because then you were in control.
It wasn't necessarily a control issue. It was just more of a flow issue.
I love it.
Okay.
That's awesome.
With planning, things flow much easier and with
do.
less effort and with higher rates of success.
I'm trying to get on Facebook, so we see you. They all say you sound great, by the way. They like your shirt, and you can respond if you'd like.
I can't.
You
read that far.
You can't. That's why I'm trying to bring up the laptop, because I'm like, where did it go?
I got to put my glasses on and go, what?
It is Friday afternoon, guys. Come on, cut us some slack. All right, so we get to Crummer.
Yep.
Okay, and then, but you've done a lot with the technology side, and did you get into it when it was a booming industry, like
Oh yeah.
Where were you at when
Crazy.
that all happened? Were you part of the bubble?
Well, I spent a year and a half at Martin Marietta. I had a 6-month contract, and after 2.5 months, I finished my first 6 months. And they were like, "Wait a minute!" And so they, put me on a bunch of other projects. I just said, "Look, just make a list of things, and I'll go down the list, and I'll just handle those things for you."
It's awesome.
So I did that for a year and a half. They offered me a job. I didn't take it because I wasn't crazy about, as an entrepreneur, that kind of environment wasn't really, wasn't my thing.
You liked the structure, but entrepreneurial, it wasn't a place where you could thrive.
Correct.
I got you.
So, and then I went and worked for a property management company, and then in the meantime, I got a patent. I'm a poli-sci major.
I saw that. So you're poli-sci. So
and
you go from, you realize you were the organizer when your wife and you were going through your mom's effects. And yet you went with poli-sci in college. Why?
Because I felt that politically, through politics, I'd be able to help the most people.
Okay.
Because my mom wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer, and no offense to doctors and lawyers, but I mean, how many can you help? I mean, if you're a doctor, you can go into. If you're a surgeon, maybe 10,000 people. If you're a researcher, maybe a couple million people.
Right.
Curing some sort of disease or whatever. If you're an attorney, the highest you can go, of course, is the Supreme Court. That's amazing because now you can affect the lives of
have an impact.
Tens, if not hundreds of millions of people. But my uncle convinced me, the theologian of all people, he convinced me that politics was the place to be, because then I can make decisions on a daily basis at the highest levels that can affect the country and the world.
So as a doe-eyed poli-sci major, what did you think your first job out of college would be? Did you have like a goal of what you wanted to do?
I was offered jobs in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Like Senator Grassley's offered me a job as his legislative aide or assistant, and I turned it down because I only had 6 months left of school, and I thought, wow, I'm getting all these job offers, and I never had a mentor, ever.
Wow.
So, even to this day. And so, I was like, yeah, gosh, I've got all these job offers. In 6 months, when I get my degree, I'm gonna be awesome, right? Well, that's not how it worked out. So
it never is, people. Don't put that pressure on yourselves. It's really never how it works out.
So when I got back to school, after the internship, a buddy of mine, I realized that Reagan, who was cutting all the jobs, the federal government jobs and all that, now I'm competing against career politicians for jobs, and I'm some snot-nosed kid. I'm like, good luck. So then a guy approached me about joining his company to doing political consulting. So did political consulting, and
is that like lobbyists, like lobbying?
No, I was managing campaigns.
Oh, you were managing campaigns.
Yeah. So I started working my way up from doing research to managing volunteers to managing the entire campaigns.
What was the largest campaign you worked on?
It was a U.S. Senate campaign.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did that all turn out? Did it make your doe-eyed kind of go, wow, this is not what I thought it was going to be?
No, it was, working 120 hours a week, for pittance wasn't my cup of tea, and it was a thankless job, even though I won so many things that I was able to have a successful exit, and which came at a great time. And that's when I decided to come down here to go to school, because I figured if I'm banging my head against the wall, I might as well open it up and put something in it. So,
right. And so you said, all right, I love politics. You still love politics. I mean, come on. All right, we're going to just go with that. But you have a passion for it, at least an understanding of it. A lot of people do, because you worked on it. Mm-hmm. So how did you then go, all right, when you come down here and go to school, what did you want to go to school for? Like, you obviously weren't going to get your PhD or your master's in poli-sci.
Well, one of the things that you asked me about is what's the epiphany, or what's the why?
Yeah, there's always that why. Something comes in and you get this why.
Right. So one of the things that probably the chief thing that drives me is basically, if you're not helping others, then what the hell good are you?
I love that. Amen.
So I was always looking for ways to help others, and then when I was a kid, I got turned on to science fiction. And so Robert Silverberg, Ray Bradbury, Arthur C. Clarke, and Isaac Asimov, and all the classics and the favorites, and then of course Philip K. Dick. He had the guy who created the robots, right? His name was Terrell, right? And then the movie Brainstorm with Natalie Wood and so forth.
That was our last movie, right?
Yeah, the guy who was the entrepreneur and the innovator and so forth. His name was Tierson. So I always imagined having a technology company called Tierson Terrell, and then I would be creating technologies that would change the world. So things didn't work out that way yet,
right? You still had a dream and a goal.
Yeah.
Really quick, I want to go back to mentorship because we talk a lot about this on the show. You still say you don't have a mentor, but you are a mentor to a lot of people.
Yes, I do the best I can because I've seen it all. I've seen people start businesses and fail, and by the hundreds, and I don't want to see other people go through that pain because it is painful.
It's so painful.
Losing your home, losing your marriage, losing your kids, losing your job, losing.
Well, because people don't
everything.
have you. If you have a mentor, somebody who's a real honest, straightforward mentor, they can redirect you because there are still people that will yes you to death, and then you're putting all this money into something that really doesn't make sense if you're out in the business world.
Yeah.
And you don't want to shoot somebody's dream down, but you also don't want them to throw everything away that they've built up.
Right. Now, I say I never had a mentor, but to me a mentor is somebody that's always by your side and who's willing to help answer the 3:00 a.m. phone calls and all that stuff. I've had a lot of people that have helped me along the way, and you know who you are, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
That's awesome.
So I appreciate that.
That's awesome.
So what I'm doing, in any case, back to what I was talking about,
I'm all over the place.
Went to the property management company, and in the meantime, I came up with an idea for a holder for remote controls that beeps when you lose it. So I designed the plastic injection molding and the printed circuit boards and all the other stuff. Got it patented and all that stuff. And then when I was laid off from that company, I had a big smile on my face. I just tore my letter up because I negotiated a nice parachute. And then I had that company for 2 years. I tried to get it going, but the problem is that when I'm ready to go, I had everything done, had 5,000 made, had all these things done, raised the capital, did deals with vendors, the whole shot. It was the fall of 1992, which was the big recession that we had since before the 2008.
Right.
And yeah, so I got the rug pulled out from under me from that, and so 2 years, no income.
I was going to ask you. So what do you do? So you've got this great idea. You patented that, right?
Yeah,
you did
patented that.
Remember, we know this is so much money and time and heartache that goes into building something that's your dream, and at any moment, like it happened to you, it can be taken away. And
that was traumatic.
I would imagine it must have been
I was
traumatic.
$250,000 in debt, no income for 2 years, living in a $400 a month apartment.
Wow.
And then my friends told me, "Hey, Rupert," they consoled me, and they said, I was already involved in the entrepreneurial community at the time. Running the Florida Venture Group and the Central Florida Council for High Technology. And they were like, "Rupert, yes, this happened to you, but, you did this product development, you did this project management, you did this capital acquisition, you did this business planning, you did this market planning, you did all these things. Can you do it for us?" And I was like, well, yeah.
So out of that, there was an entirely new career created for you.
Yeah, so I started Virtual Entrepreneur as a consultant, and within 3 years I was debt-free, including my new home. And then over the next ensuing several years, I had it for about 9 years, and I got into simulation because, as everyone should know, Orlando is the world epicenter for simulation and training for mankind. Over $6 billion is done every year here in Orlando.
Where do they keep? They keep that so secret. I mean, people think of Martin.
There's no secret.
Lockheed, is that? That's where it's mainly at. But also Research Park, right?
Yeah, Research Park. You've got
UCF.
You've got SAIC, Siemens. You have Bohemia Interactive. I mean, you've got 170 companies over there.
So you participated in? You have a word for it. It's not incubator.
Venturator.
Venturator. I love that word. That was awesome. See, I do read bios, people. They give me a hard time later about not reading the bio.
So I got into simulation that way because they were hiring me to come in there and help them with the develop new products and new revenue streams and things like that. And then I decided I could build a better mousetrap because I thought their technology was obsolete and antiquated. And It could be done better. So I designed it with the help of an engineer. We designed and patented a new motion simulation system, helicopter based. But then the patent was so broad that we can make anything out of it. And then I started a company, and I had that for 11 years, doing entertainment, commercial, and military.
So when you say, I think a lot of people, and I want to eventually get to the state of entrepreneurship in Orlando, which is our show, which actually Rupert came up with the title. I love it. I think people, when they hear you say, and me too, I started a company and I had it for 11 years. I started a company, I had it for 9 years. Was it, since you had already been established, was there still the same blood, sweat, and tears that had to go into it to build it?
Yeah.
Because I know the way that you think, and people are thinking, it's not that easy. He's not saying that. There are definitely still things. It's not just one day he woke up and I'm going to have a company, and then it's all fully funded, and it's on the road and it's fantastic. And day one, you've got $1 million check.
No, that's not how it works.
It's not how it works, and that's why I think one of the things you talk about is startups are important to you, and helping them and mentoring them and talking about them, because there are so many amazing ideas that come in incubator-like environments, and people don't know how to take the next step. They don't know what to do, or there are bad ideas. Don't get me wrong, it's like the American Idol audition section. These people have been told they can sing all their lives, and we all know they can't. So you don't want to crush anybody's dreams, because again, you don't want them to be out of money, out of a house, out of a relationship, lose everything over it.
Exactly. So, I taught at UCF for 6 years, entertainment technology for the Rosen College, and then I later got picked up by Full Sail, and I taught project management in the Game Design Master's degree program for 6 years. And I told my students, and I said, look, the majority of them, 69% of them, said in the first class that they were interested in having their own studio. So they wanted to be entrepreneurs, but they didn't know anything about entrepreneurship. So I geared my entire class towards not just being a project manager, thinking like a project manager, but thinking like an entrepreneur. And I told them, I said, so when I started Burnout Game Ventures, my current enterprise, I told them, I said, look, you've got to be, if you're going to be an entrepreneur is someone who starts and operates an enterprise based on two things: risk and initiative. So on the initiative side, you got to get up every morning, you got to dust yourself off, and you got to go get it. You got to get GSD, right? And on the risk side, people don't understand the risks. One of the things in this town is everybody's, romanticizing entrepreneurship. And so everybody's, let's start a company, right? Without knowing what the risks are involved.
Definitely.
And I told my students, I said, you've got to be able to risk your everything except your relationship with you-know-who.
Right.
So it's like marriage, home, retirement, possessions, everything. If you're not willing to risk that, then think long and hard about starting a business.
Correct.
And so one of my students says, "What about your cars?" I said, "No. I draw the
line there.
I draw the line somewhere, right? So here I am, divorced, living in a friend's apartment, You
still have your car.
Still have my cars, yeah. So,
But listen to what he's saying. I mean, that's so important for people to hear.
Important.
Because we have all of these amazing organizations. I saw RC and Juliana said, congratulations or welcome to the show. They've got 1 million cups. There's so many places.
Which I ran before them, yeah.
That's right, you did. There are so many amazing places in town where you can present your idea. But just because you have the great idea, don't think that there isn't more work to it just by presenting at these groups.
Right.
You have to be prepared. If you've ever seen Shark Tank, which I can't watch because it makes me sweat. I can't. It's so nerve-wracking, and I feel so bad for the people because most people go in there, and that's sort of how people go into startups. They think, I've got this most amazing idea, and maybe you do. And I've got this great product or service or something that I want to bring to the rest of the world, and you might have the next awesome invention or awesome product. However, you have to have all your ducks in a row. You have to really know what you're doing.
You have to plan.
Nowadays, with social media and everything else going on, there are millions of you out there. And so there are only so many venture capitalists or people with money, and they're being much more picky and specific about what they'll take and what they won't do. And if you don't have your act together, then you should not be presenting to anybody. So I'm just preaching to the choir here with you here. But
don't waste our time, honestly.
That's the thing. And don't waste your time.
Exactly.
It's a waste of your time and your money and your resources if you really aren't ready to go full force with it.
Yeah, and the thing, that's what I like about project management, because 80% of it is planning. And so, I've helped, 400 companies or so over the years. And the ones that are still going are the ones that planned it. And the ones that fell by the wayside are the ones that didn't.
Correct.
The adage, fail to plan, plan to fail, is a truism of the highest order.
And let me really quick. I can't, for some reason, get your comments up here on the laptop. I don't know why. We can see you commenting, but Rupert and I cannot see there. So both of us will respond later. Don't think we're ignoring you. We love you guys.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
We absolutely will. The other thing is you have to be, I believe, you have to be able to take criticism and constructive criticism, because a lot of people go in, especially that Shark Tank show, I watch that, I go, oh my God, you're talking to experts who have the money and you're going to backtalk them and like they're idiots and you know better. And I love the ones that leave and go, I'm going to show them, I'm going to make $1 million tomorrow. Well, God bless you. We hope that that's what you do. Mm-hmm. But you really have to go in. When you're going to an expert, you want an expert to fund you, listen to them. Listen to what they have to say.
It's the golden rule.
It really is the golden rule. All right, so let's talk about the state of entrepreneurship in Orlando. And whatever else you want to talk about, because I could talk to you for hours.
Well, it is a 20-minute talk, but in a nutshell, Orlando is an amazing place for business, an absolute amazing place. We have the infrastructure. I know a lot of people sit there and moan and groan about lack of public transportation, but we do have infrastructure here. We have, once the I-4 project is done, we've got Sunrail, which is, needs some improvement, but we got a lot of things going for us. We've got gigabit internet service in quite a few places in the area. But not only that, but the biggest thing is 25 miles from where we're sitting right here, there's 50,000 students that are going through up to 50 different curricula, post-secondary curricula, dealing with game development, for example.
Wow.
Within 100 miles of where we're sitting, there's over 500,000 post-secondary students. I don't believe that exists in New York, Boston, Austin, Spokane, LA, San Francisco. I don't think that exists anywhere else.
Now, are all these students are they in majors that are all computer generated gaming kind of majors, or engineering? Is that what they're at? I think a lot of people don't understand they don't even understand like a college like Full Sail.
Right.
I think a lot of people don't take the time unless you're in it and you're in technology and gaming. You have absolutely no idea what Full Sail even means.
Well, the thing is one of the talks that I gave like at Otronicon last week is, nine things you should know before you start your game company, and one of the key things is that, playing games and making games are two different things.
Correct.
Making games and making money making games is even wider of a chasm than the first one.
Correct.
So that's what we do there. So, but with regard to Orlando, so we've got awesome infrastructure. We are a world center in 9 different tech sectors. Not just simulation and video games, but also sensors, advanced manufacturing, electro-optics, transportation, with the new autonomous training facility, research facility, space, seriously, right? And it's just advanced computing. There's all these things are right here in Orlando. And so, and plus all the other accolades we get for Foodie City and Dynamic City and all these other things. I think the city
is so much more than the mouse now.
Yeah.
We have come so far on
mouse is a small
I have a lot of people that ask me, my son included. My son's like a real tech person. He loves everything technology. And I think that whole generation, he'll be 20 this year, that whole generation is very into that. They grew up with that. They know it. It's like natural for them. But a lot of them are questioning whether or not they go to school and get the 4-year engineering degree. Do they go to a coding school? Do they go to a gaming-oriented school where you're creating games? How do you maneuver as a parent? If I wasn't involved enough with the community, I would probably be one of those, you need to go to the 4-year college. You need to figure this out. You need to get a degree as a backup. But in reality, there are coding schools, there are technology schools that are amazing. It's almost like the old days of trade schools, but they're coming out with awesome jobs and awesome opportunities.
Well, number one, I encourage you, if you're thinking about going to school, go to school. That's all there is to it. Just go to school. Having said that, in the industry, we don't really care that much about the school. We care about the experience. So if you go to Full Sail, to the Game Design Master's degree, or you go to FIA, at UCF, when they look at your resume, yes, they'll look at the courses you took and the grades you got, but honestly, they don't care. What they really care about is how many games did you do at the game jams over the last year or 2 years? How many other games did you work on, and so forth. It's like in the simulation industry, half the people in my simulation business didn't have a degree, but they were working with me and they were doing a fantastic job because they knew what they were doing.
Right.
And because they had the experience and working with teams and teamwork and communicating with people and so on and so forth. So, focus on those things, but go to school, because at school you're going to meet the people that you can form teams with and go on a professional and personal journey together. So
I think one of the things you said earlier is so important. Just because you play games all day doesn't mean that you have the ability to be in the industry. You could play Camelot or whatever these different games are. I'm terrible. My son has 900 of them. Camelot's not one, but that's the one I know. And that doesn't mean that you're going to be the best coder. And that doesn't mean that you can sit in your parents' basement till you're 40. And that whole quintessential stereotype that a lot of parents have about, oh my God, he's gonna just play games his whole life. You really need to make sure that that's what you can do and that you have the talent to do it. Playing a game does not make a creator or a coder or a person on the other side of it.
And what parent doesn't want to know that the average compensation in the video game industry is $95,000 a year?
Nice. I'm in the wrong business. Kidding. All right, so talk about burnout.
So I started as I was teaching project management at Full Sail, and my other cohorts in the program had businesses or projects, and they were using students to develop things and so forth. And I was thinking to myself, well, I wasn't crazy about their models, and I wasn't crazy about the video game industry is hit based, for example. The hits in the video game industry are basically making the money for the game companies, whereas all the rest of the companies, all the rest of the games are not.
What's a hit?
Well, a hit for an independent team is 250,000 units a year.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So the thing is so I studied the industry, and it's $110 billion. It's far bigger than the worldwide film and TV industry.
Wow.
Far bigger.
Wow.
Growing at 10% a year for the last 15, 20 years through the recession and everything. And so I'm like, well, that's $70 billion in growth over the next 5 years. Where's it going to come from?
Right.
And the thing is the large majority of the participants are the people that are making games in the game industry are independent game studios. We call them indies. And they have a 95% failure rate to break even. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I've been studying companies and working with companies for decades. And it's like, I know why they fail. And it's real simple. It's just bad management, period. Bad management. You get a car accident, bad driver. You get
It's simple.
It's simple. If your business fails, bad management.
Right.
It's plain and simple. So I came up with a methodology of developing games and projects, so to speak. We gamified our project management processes and did all these other things. And considering that the 350 students that I trained at Full Sail are now managing a couple $1 billion in game IP, I'd like to think I
know what you're talking about.
So I basically created this company with a totally different model. It's not hit-based, for example. I know that if we employ good project management processes and we do it throughout, then every single game we will create needs to hit a minimum threshold, and it's only 60,000 units a year per platform. That's it. The thing is if every single one of the 233 games or products that we want to release in the next 5 years hits that threshold, we're a $500 million company.
Wow.
In 5 years. And that's with no hits. So if we have hits, you do the math. So So what Burnout Game Ventures does is, we incubate, we create game companies with horsepower. So these developers, they typically, they're focused on making games they want to sell, which aren't necessarily games you want to buy.
Correct.
Right? And they don't plan, so their scope, their schedule, their marketing, all go out the window. So what we do is we provide them all the people, talent, resources, proprietary processes, and the kick in the butt that they need in order to create quality game experiences as quickly as possible. So right now we have over 450 people in our talent pool.
Wow.
We have over 90 people that are actively working on 9 projects for 6 startups. Those numbers do fluctuate. And we have 38 releases scheduled in the next 24 months. And so right now I'm in capital raising mode. In fact, once I leave here, I got to go pick up another check.
Uh-oh.
So
I'll buy you a drink, Rupert.
so we're rocking and rolling, and we're ready to really rock and roll and get things out there, because I'm going to use BGV not only as a springboard to create 50 sustainable businesses here in Orlando, have high-tech, high-paying jobs, but also, let's pick up the entire entrepreneurial ecosystem here.
Love that.
And just grab that flag and march down the street and see who wants to come with.
So let's say, what skin in the game do the people with the ideas have as far as burnout goes? Because what it sounded like to me is they've got the idea, right?
Yeah.
And then you have pretty much everything. It's like a step into for them. And you're going to figure out a way, once you've established that they can be successful, you're going to figure out a way for them to be successful.
Right.
But they can't just go, hey, Rupert, I got this great idea. All right, so I'm going to make $1 million tomorrow. Thank you for setting everything up. I appreciate it. There's got to be a process involved, because that's what people they'll go, oh my God, I have this game idea, and they'll reach out to you, which is great. You want creativity,
right?
Not trying to knock it down.
Yeah.
But they have to have some kind of skin in the game, right?
Yes. So I'm a hardcore entrepreneur. Okay. These models that the vast majority of accelerators have, where you jump through a bunch of hoops, and then the winner gets $25,000, and then they have a bunch of generalist mentors and advisors to help you through the process. We don't play that.
Good.
I'm not paying people to be entrepreneurs. Okay. What we do is we say, look, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you've got to be willing to put the sweat equity into it. What we're doing is we're teaching you how to fish. We're teaching you what it means to be a successful entrepreneur, to think like one and be like one. And then over the 6 to 12 months processes that we're training you. So you come to us if you have a really great game and all that. You need more than just an idea. You need a game design doc, and you need something we can play, preferably, and so forth. But we bring you in, we put you in our talent pool, you go through the talent pool, you bring in all the people you need, and then we put the whole team through a 2-month education program where they learn project management, business development, marketing and sales, finance,
all
accounting,
structured.
all the stuff they need.
I love it.
And then they can hit the ground running with the development of their project. And we're working also on virtual reality and augmented reality, as well as simulation projects. So then now we have 24 advisors, guys who are like the cinematics lead on World of Warcraft, the art lead on Assassin's Creed, the people that were produced all the Star Trek and the Marvel games. I mean, all kinds of talent and expert, the best of the best. These guys then beat on you every day to make sure you're meeting your milestones, you're getting the art done, you're doing the coding and everything else like that. So you're being mentored by the best every 6 months. So some projects will be 12 months, some projects will be 3 months. So hopefully it'll come out.
So a couple of things, because we have to wrap up. If I could talk to you, really, we could talk to you for hours, and we're going to give all of Rupert's contact information when we post the video. 2 questions for you. First of all, what is your favorite game? What do you play? Do you play to relax? Do you play because you enjoy? Obviously, you have to probably play a lot or oversee a lot of playing. I'm talking about games because of the research that you do and the startups that you work with. But is there something that you go, oh my God, this is my relaxation? I mean, you can say Miss Pac-Man if you want.
Actually, the games I play the most are our own games.
That's awesome.
Our own games, because they're the kind of games that I really enjoy playing. I do Lumosity a lot as well.
Lumosity. My son will know all of this, and I'm clueless. Diane just got on, by the way. Hey, Diane.
Hey, Diane.
We love you. All right, and then what parting words do you want to leave with them? Words of wisdom, and again, we'll give all the contact information later.
If you want to start a business, just know what you're getting into, and plan it out. You go to the YouTube videos, go to the Kauffman Foundation and 1 Million Cups. By all means, come to 1 Million Cups. We meet every Wednesday morning at 8:30 at Rollins College. Come see the other startup entrepreneurs there and let them present and hear them present their ideas. It's the only organization in town that has a weekly entrepreneurial meetup. And actually, Catalyst has their coffee thing on
I think
Tuesday
Catalyst
mornings.
does too.
Yeah.
1 Million Cups just has the most embracing. It's a safe place to come. They're going to be kind to you if your thing doesn't sound fantastic, but they're going to be honest with you and embrace and try to figure out a way to help you if you really have the drive.
And you don't know who's in the audience. It could be somebody that has had 10 years experience in the business that you're trying to start,
right.
Or they're investors. We've had multiple people invested in my
company. And this
company,
isn't just tech. So
yeah, it's
1 Million Cups,
everything.
It's all startups.
Entrepreneurs,
so
we love entrepreneurs.
If you have a great idea, a startup, 1 Million Cups is definitely a place that I would start at, because I think it's a place where you can safely go present your idea and know that you're going to be taken care of one way or another. They're going to figure out and try to help you, or they're going to give you some constructive criticism, and then it's up to you what you do with it.
And it's free, and it's open to the public. Free parking, free coffee, free donuts.
It's a morning event. I haven't been yet.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love the concept. I love the support. I love the people who are involved.
Yep.
You've been a joy, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're going to post all of Rupert's contact information. You definitely want to reach out to him. Any parents that have been on here, or any younger people that have been on, and a lot of you have been, you should definitely reach out to him. I'm going to have my son reach out to Rupert, because I think that there's this whole generation of kids, I say kids, young adults, who really, it's sky's the limit. They don't think like we were raised to think, and they really think outside the box, and I love that about the millennial and younger group.
We love creatives.
We love creatives, always. All right, we love you guys. Have a great weekend. Happy Friday. Thank you, Rupert, again. And then we're going to have Rupert push the finish button very gently. We love you guys. It's right there in the bottom right.
The bottom right.
That's right. We've got,
All right,
this is our $4 an hour budget.
All right. Thank you. Finish.